things we learnt from the game yesterday. And the first one is Richarlison scoring record. Come on.
Yeah, and it's actually remarkable. In his last 19 starts for Tottenham, he has scored 16 goals.
Oh, that's mad.
Which is crazy. I think that does span probably a couple of seasons. I don't know how many.
Is that only the 19 starts, or is that
in his last 19 starts?
Including the sub appearances.
I think. Why did I read it? I think it's his last 19. Let me see it. Is it his last 19 starts or appearances? I'm pretty sure it's starts. I liked it. One sec. I saw this stat. No, last 16 starts, he's got 13 goals. That's it. And he's got 9 goals in his last 9 starts at home. So he's got an unbelievable kind of scoring record at the moment when he's on the pitch. And unfortunately, the big problem's obviously been getting him on the pitch. But that is like really great numbers. And, you put that over a whole season, you got a 25 goals a season striker there if you can get him on the pitch enough.
Yeah.
So, 2 goals yesterday after a really pretty solid pre-season as well. Well, a good performance against PSG. And obviously begs the question about Richarlison. There was a lot of talk about him leaving, but maybe his 2 goals, has that put it to bed? Actually, one thing I wanted to bring up about Richarlison was what Frank was saying, which was quite interesting in his press conference, because he was talking about his injury record, and he said, as much as we know about his injury record, we're being very careful about him. But there was one little quote he said which kind of concerned me about him. He said, he's fit now and he scored 2 goals, but he's not out of the woods yet, he said, with his injury stuff. So that was a bit concerning when he said we've still got to be very careful, and we got to know, I got to figure him out, and I got to get to know him and his body and stuff like that. So but he said we're not out of the woods yet.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not something that surprises me. We know about the ability of Richarlison to put the ball in the back of the net. The only reason I kind of would like to move him on is because of his availability. And his injury record over the last 2 years have been nothing short of dreadful, to be honest. So it's not going to just take for Frank to come in and a pre-season behind him to get him out of the woods. We've seen it before where he has a pre-season and then breaks down straight when the season starts. We've seen him come back from injury, break down in just making a cross and an assist, and he goes off and you don't see him for the next 2-3 months. So it doesn't surprise me that he's not out of the woods yet. It concerns me massively to keep Richarlison because of that injury record. So, I don't know, judging on his performances over the last 2 games, if you ask me whether I want to keep him or sell him, obviously I'm going to say keep, because the quality of the performances have been absolutely brilliant. But then we could be eating our words again if, in a few weeks' time he gets injured. So, it's a difficult one with Richarlison because I really like him. I've always been a big fan of Richarlison, but it's just the injury records which kind of just put a real grey cloud over it, and he's never been able to stay consistently fit. He has been a bit of a frustrating player at times when he has been on the pitch, but these last 2 performances have pretty much been his best 2 performances in a Spurs shirt, and Thomas Frank has done such a good job to get these kind of level of performances out of him. But even before Thomas Frank, his goal scoring record has been brilliant. So yeah, it is a difficult one. If you ask me right now, would I prefer to keep him or sell him, I would say keep him, just because of these 2 performances and on top of that the scoring record. But it is something that we need to keep an eye on, and that's his injury record. And if he gets injured in the next few weeks, there's going to be a lot of frustrated fans saying, why didn't we bring in a number 9?
Yeah, and it's an easy thing to throw at the club, saying you could have seen this coming and that kind of stuff. But yeah, as I said, 13 goals in his last 16 starts, really impressive.
Yeah. Next up, we are going to be talking about Sasa Toure, the man that keeps going by strength to strength. Unbelievable performance.
Yeah, and yesterday his performance by numbers was really, really incredible. Covered 10.7 kilometers yesterday, with a top speed of 29.2 kilometers per hour, which we now get this data on SofaScore. So brilliant stuff. They now have the sprint data. But more impressively, won 4 of his 5 ground duels, aerial duels, 6 out of 10 ground duels, completed 3 of his 4 dribbles, 2 tackles as well. Obviously got that brilliant assist for Brennan Johnson for his goal as well. Obviously, it was a proper all-action display from Pape Matar Sarr yesterday.
In the first half of the season under Ange, in his first season, when Sarr was just in full flight, and we were like thinking, wow, we have got one of the best young midfielders in the league. You know, this guy is going to go to the very, very top. That's what we were all saying, right? So when he came back from the AFCON, a bit of a step backwards. Last season, a bit of a step backwards. But now he seems to be performing better than ever. This guy is just everywhere. His pressing is incredible. Not only that, but he's a goal threat as well, from assists, taking shots as well. The guy is immense, and I can't wax lyrical enough about him. You can't take him out of the team the way he's playing at this moment in time. And when Frank first came in, and we were all hypothesizing and all thinking about what kind of players that we want in that middle three, no one mentioned Pape Matar Sarr. Everyone was saying different kind of players. We need new players to come in. But Pape, with the way he's playing, you just cannot take him out of the team. And I'm loving what I'm seeing from him at the moment. And I think he's playing his best football of his career at this moment in time. So, yeah, defensive contributions, attacking contributions, unbelievable.
Fantastic.
Next up is Creative Kudus. Not a bad debut from Mo.
Yeah, and obviously he got his 2 assists yesterday. He actually had 5 chances created yesterday in the game, which is obviously more than anyone else on the pitch. Also completed 2 of his 3 dribbles attempted, 5 out of 10 accurate crosses. So his crossing was actually, I know it's 50%, but it was actually that's not a terrible ratio when you've got 10 crosses in, you know, to have 50% success rate. 3 of his 4 accurate long passes as well. But obviously, more importantly, he got those 2 assists, and I thought he was a real creative force. And I think that creativity from him yesterday was really, really crucial because we didn't really seem like we were going to break down what you call Burnley. And if you remember as well, right in the first minute, he set up that chance for Bergvall with a little pass, and it looked as though if there was any chance we were going to break Burnley down, especially without those number 10s on the pitch. It was going to be from Mohammed Kudus, and he got those 2 assists, and all our creativity pretty much came from him yesterday.
Yeah, and look, it wasn't just that, it was his defensive contribution as well, which, you know, that hasn't been really talked about before he came to Spurs. Such a hard worker. In the first half, when Burnley were on top, he was doing such a good job to relieve us of pressure at times. But his creative standpoint on the right-hand side is just something that we've been missing so long on that right. So look, he can take it past the player with ease. He can get crosses in the box. I want to see him be more of a goal threat, which I'm sure that will come over time. But I'm so happy with Mo Kudus and the contributions that he made in the game yesterday. So big up to Mo. And we move on to number 4, and that is second half push.
Yeah, and yesterday, obviously, the first half wasn't like the best when it came to what we were, like, you know, breaking Burnley down and that kind of stuff. And I think looking at some of the data, I was looking at what changed in the second half and from the first half, because on the face of it, you know, we were running similar amounts, making similar amount of tackles, but we went. I think the most important thing is in the first half we won a lot more bigger percentage of tackles in the second half than we did in the first half. We won 80% of our tackles in the second half, where in the first half it was 60%. And also we were doing a lot more dribbles. So the first half we only attempted 4 dribbles and we completed 2 of them. In the second half we attempted 10 dribbles and completed 9 of them as well. So clearly trying to force the issue a bit, trying to maybe a bit more risk into the game. And we saw that like near the beginning of the second half as well, where we opened up a bit, Burnley nearly got back into the game, but then that led to us getting the second goal and then the third goal, and we ended up winning the game more comfortably. So the second half, there was some little kind of differences. I wouldn't say massive tactical tweaks, but it was more just like differences in being more aggressive, being braver, and that's what got us the win.
Yeah, and I felt like we were just able to bring Brennan Johnson into the game a bit more. Obviously, he got the goal, but he was also a bit of a threat out on that left-hand side. Like, those kind of numbers are going to go up dramatically if we can bring in the likes of a Savinho or an Eze, particularly from the dribbling aspect. And you could see if you watch the game, you know, we were a lot more threatening, a lot more dangerous in that second half. We need to find out ways how not to, conduct ourselves like we did for probably the half an hour in the first half, like we did, gave Burnley a bit too much encouragement. But yeah, the instruction from Frank was clearly go get them early, get an early goal, because that's going to stand us in good stead for the game. We did, but then we kind of reverted, and I think in the second half we started aggressive. Again, Burnley had probably their best chance of the game in the second half, but the way we were able to break them down a bit more, be more creative, be more aggressive, was great to see. And from a first kind of sighting of Frank Ball in the Premier League, it's a joy to behold, to be honest. 3-0 win, you can't really complain. Fifth and final takeaway is restricting Burnley.
Yeah, and on the face of it, you look at the stats overall, and you would think Burnley had, a lot of shots and, a lot of chances, a lot of the game, because we had 16 shots. Burnley actually had 14 shots on the day, 4 of them being on target. And so you're on the face of it, you're thinking, okay, Burnley had a lot of this game and they had a lot of chances, but when you look at the expected goals, it was only 0.94. So their expected goals per shot was actually really low, and that's because we really did restrict them from any high quality chances. On the stats, there's 0 big chances created on the day. So if you're, on the face of it, you would think Burnley actually had quite a few opportunities, but actually we restrict them really, really impressively, and all their shots are really low quality opportunities. The only one they had was that Anthony one, and when you look at that one, if you look at the highlights, like, it's quite a bit of luck that it fell to him. Like Foster had a shot that miscued and it fell to him, and that had an opportunity. Apart from that, they didn't really have any sort of high quality opportunities, and you got to give credit to Spurs for restricting that and making sure that any opportunity they did have was a really low probability one.
Yeah, absolutely. I was happy from that aspect, and I thought we gave them a bit too much encouragement in the first half and sat off them a bit too much, and that did change in the second. But it's Burnley at the end of the day. No disrespect to Burnley, but they're just coming up. They weren't exactly scoring with a flurry. Their main thing was keeping clean sheets and restricting the opposition. They started with a back five, and that was clearly their instruction to do for us yesterday. They had that plan to do, and we broke them down 3 times and could have had a few more goals, to be honest, if Richarlison would have finished that chance. Look, bigger test to come. We got Man City next weekend, and Man City looked like the most impressive team of the weekend so far. So we'll see how it goes next weekend, but against Burnley, it's a good start. But that is our 5 takeaways, the 5 things that we did learn from the 3-0 win against Burnley. And let us know your thoughts in the comment section